J. Robert Oppenheimer to Stanley Wiener, here are 10 interesting quotes about nuclear bombs. No, 1. The only thing that I regret is that we did not kill more Germans, so said J. Robert Oppenheimer, the man who led the team of scientists that developed the first nuclear bomb at Los Alamos in New Mexico during World War II. He was responsible for designing the gadget that would bring an end to the war. And when the first bomb exploded in the New Mexico desert on July 16, 1945, Oppenheimer was there to watch it happen. As he later told the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists, he thought the bomb was beautiful. But Oppenheimer also came to regret making such a destructive weapon. In 1946, he warned President Harry Truman that the atomic weapons his team had designed could be used to wipe out entire cities. Despite this warning, Truman would authorize the dropping of nuclear weapons on Japan in August 1945, killing an estimated 200,000 people. Oppenheimer would come to regret his role in developing such a destructive weapon. After witnessing the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, he's said to have been haunted by the words of the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita. Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. And no, too, we really shouldn't discuss it in public. On April 16, 1946, physicist Edward Teller, known as the father of the hydrogen bomb, testified before Congress about his work on the development of thermonuclear weapons. When asked if a nuclear weapon could cause a chain reaction that would destroy the world, Teller replied, "It is theoretically possible, but I think it is such a remote possibility that we really shouldn't discuss it in public." And what exactly did Teller mean? Well, exactly what he said. We should not be discussing how to blow up the world in public. No. 3. Only one thing can stop us from getting into an atomic war, and that is our own fear. This quote comes from Stanislav Petrov, the man who prevented the start of the Cold War. In October 1983, Petrov was a lieutenant colonel working at the Soviet early warning system for nuclear attacks. One day, he noticed that one of the satellites had detected the launch of an American Minuteman intercontinental ballistic missile. According to protocol, Petrov had to report this to his superiors. But he knew that if he did, they would order a retaliatory strike, and so he decided to wait it out. 5 minutes passed, then 10, then 15. Finally, another satellite confirmed that the American missile had been launched. It was just a false alarm. By waiting and observing, Petrov saved the world. And he never received official recognition for doing so until 2013. Number 4, a single nuclear weapon of the type that has already been developed could destroy a city of 500,000 people. Imagine now what 10 or 20,000 of those weapons can do. This chilling quote comes from a 1946 editorial in the New York Times that was written after the United States had successfully tested the first atomic bomb, and was warning the Soviet Union that if they didn't back off, America would nuke them. Number 5, why should we bother with grand juries and indictments? Just take all the leaders away, put them in a nice, comfortable jail, and keep their wives there too, so that no one will be able to tell anyone else what the others have done. This crazy quote comes from American lawyer Joseph Rauh Jr. He was referring to the men behind the Manhattan Project, which was the top-secret mission to develop the first nuclear weapon. Rauh told members of Congress that instead of taking years to develop evidence against the Nazi war criminals, why not just throw them all in jail and be done with it? Although he was referring specifically to Nazis, Rauh was actually talking about the men behind the Manhattan Project, including J. Robert Oppenheimer, Edward Teller, and Enrico Fermi, all of whom would go on to play major roles in ending World War II. No. 6. I feel that a bomb in each hand is better than all the parliaments in the world. In 1979, Egyptian President Anwar Sadat told Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin, "I feel that a bomb in each hand is better than all the parliaments in the world." The two were meeting in the Egyptian city of Alexandria to discuss the possibility of a lasting peace treaty between their two nations. But in recent years, Sadat had grown tired of the violence and wanted to seek peace. During the talks, Sadat reportedly pulled out a handkerchief and placed it on the table between him and Begin. He then took both ends of the handkerchief in his hands and pulled it tight. "This," he said, "is what a bomb feels like in each hand." Now imagine what it would be like if each side had one. At the time, Egypt did not possess any nuclear weapons. They would not get their first until 2001, according to a report by the International Atomic Energy Agency. Number 7. It's much better to have them and not need them than to need them and not have them, so said British Prime Minister Winston Churchill. Churchill was a staunch supporter of the development of nuclear weapons. He believed that having them would deter other countries from attacking Britain. On September 6, 1945, 2 days after the first nuclear weapon was dropped on Hiroshima, Churchill met with his new American president, Harry Truman, aboard the battleship HMS Prince of Wales. They were in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean off the coast of Newfoundland. Churchill told Truman that he was glad the United States had developed the weapon and that he hoped Britain would be allowed to use one if necessary. Truman replied that Churchill should consider it already in his possession. What he meant by this is not entirely clear, but it is widely believed that Truman was offering Britain permission to use an American nuclear weapon if needed. Churchill would decline the offer. Number 8. Do you realize what a terrible responsibility we now have to bear? If these things get out, there will be hell to pay. All of us may be blown to kingdom come. This quote comes from Leslie Groves, the military officer who headed up the Manhattan Project. He was speaking to a colleague about the dangers of keeping nuclear weapons secret. The U.S. government had managed to keep the Manhattan Project under wraps for most of the war, but in the final weeks of fighting, German spies had infiltrated Los Alamos and were stealing secrets about the atomic bomb. Groves realized that if the Germans got their hands on the plans for the bomb, they would use it to develop their own. And if they did, the United States would have to nuke them anyway. So Groves ordered all of the documents related to the Manhattan Project to be burned. Number 9. I hope you realize what you have done. You have just brought the whole world within the range of complete destruction. All that I see around me now is the end of civilization as we know it. These prophetic words were spoken by Italian physicist Enrico Fermi after the first nuclear reactor went critical on December 2, 1942. Fermi and his team of scientists had built the world's first nuclear reactor under the stands of the football field at the University of Chicago. When they turned on the reactor, Fermi looked around at all of his colleagues and said, "I hope you realize what you have done. You have just brought the whole world within the range of complete destruction. All that I see around me now is the end of civilization as we know it." His prediction was not far off. Within 10 years, the United States and the Soviet Union would possess thousands of nuclear weapons capable of destroying the entire planet. Number 10. War without end, without mercy, without hope, a war that swallows up all men and all nations, a war in which there will be no victory, only death. Polish writer Bruno Schulz wrote this quote in his diary on September 1, 1939, the day that Germany invaded Poland and started World War II. Schulz was killed by the Nazis in 1942. Many people believe that he wrote this quote with the future in mind. And indeed, it could very well be that World War II would end in a nuclear holocaust. That's all for today. Do you have a favorite quote about nuclear bombs? Let me know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you next time.